You don't want to miss this one. We're back with more Joe Rogan interviews that went south, and today we've got a fresh batch of clips that will keep you glued to the screen. Whether it's the heated debates or the unexpected laughs, these moments are packed with intensity, which makes them seriously entertaining. You want to stick to the very end because Joe was shocked at the response he got from a comedian as the conversation took a political turn. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more discussions just like this.
I was like, this is a man who's preparing to go to combat. This is not normal getting ready to work out. That's why when I saw that video, I was like, oh.
Want me to tell you something about that video?
Yeah.
I did that video and I was in bed for a week. That was 30 seconds and I was in bed for a week. And it's not funny because it made me realize that this is big boy, okay?
Big boy.
It's big boy. You was
there
out,
it is right there.
Yeah, that wasn't really cool. That's in the gym. That's now.
My man stopped laughing in a heartbeat, and the funny thing is that it happened right at the start of the episode, so imagine the tension in that room. Such moments are an example of how Tyson's intense and unpredictable nature can quickly change the dynamic of any conversation, and his past interviews are a clear example of that. Joe, aware of these past incidents, likely felt a similar tension during this episode, knowing full well how quickly things could escalate if he said the wrong thing. That's why we see him cut the laugh short, but it wasn't the only time it happened. Watch the conversation that led to Mike's second burst of anger and the bizarre exchange.
What does it mean when fighting gets you erect? What does that mean?
It's a good question. It means you're getting excited.
Yeah.
So that's going through your mind right now.
Well, that's how I get when I was a kid, and sometimes I get the twinkle.
The twinkle.
Yeah.
Saying that it gets you orgasmic. That's a strange thing to say.
Well, that's just what I want. I wanted to find out because you're really bright, and I thought you would figure it. No, I'm being very serious.
No, I know. I know you're being serious, but I mean, no one will understand that other than you. Like, that's your mindset.
Honestly, I can see why this happened because you can make the argument that Joe was somewhat mocking him in this clip, and we all know what happens to people who mock the baddest man on the planet. You see, Tyson's persona is built on an aura of intimidation and dominance that has persisted long after he retired from boxing. Joe's blend of humor and poking questions clearly touched a nerve here, and Tyson had to remind him that any hint of mockery or insensitivity will quickly escalate. It even happened for a third time, but luckily Joe made the smart decision to stop laughing and just listen.
The first time I did it, it just blew my mind. Then I did it again and said, hey, you better get in shape. Let's get in shape. What the what's wrong with you? Yeah, and listen, and that's what I did.
I told you, hey, yeah. Especially when you think about...
See, I'm not the guy you have to say, hey, Mike, man, you gained a few pounds. Let's kind of work it out, man. You can do it. Hey, you big fat dope. Get your shit together. Look, you big fat mother. You're a fat, lazy mother. That motivates me.
You need to hear that. And you need to tell it to yourself.
Yeah, no, anybody, the right person needs to tell it to me, too.
Who the f*** gonna say that to you?
They do. Hey.
I have to admit, even I was scared and stopped smiling right after the first hey. What's funny is that even though Joe has spoken with some of the most intimidating people like MMA legends, George St. Pierre and Cain Velasquez, he decided to get a bigger table after this episode to put some distance between him and his guests. It just shows you how much of a presence Tyson still has. Next up, we have mushroom expert Paul Stamets, and things took a weird turn, and his answer left Joe Rogan scratching his head.
What are the negative benefit or the negative effects of this?
This is an explosive area of conversation, and that puts my life in danger. So I reserve the right not to answer your question.
Whoa. I didn't expect that. It puts your life in danger talking about portobello mushrooms? He's looking at me silently. I will respectfully move on.
Thank you.
So anybody who's interested, just Google that and get back to me.
Talk about a surprising reaction. It instantly piqued everyone's curiosity because what could be so dangerous about describing portobello's negative effects? Were there hidden truths about these popular fungi that the public needs to know? Or does the portobello mafia control the deep state? It's not every day you hear someone imply that talking about a common food could put their life at risk. This is the type of intriguing comment that keeps everyone on their toes and questioning what's really going on behind the scenes. But I guess we'll never know. The next clip is definitely explosive because it handles the topic of marriage and the guest is Matt Walsh.
Why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve? And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side that came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly? And I know you said, well, it's people who love each other. Two people love each other. Well, but then why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions.
That question was not just a casual inquiry. It set the stage for a clash of ideologies that had viewers on the edge of their seats. At one side, you had Matt Walsh, a conservative commentator known for his traditional views on marriage and how it plays a huge role as a foundational structure of society. On the other side was Joe, who represents a more progressive viewpoint. This ideological battle was electric. Matt Walsh's firm stance clashed with Rogan's more liberal perspective, highlighting the cultural divide on this issue. Joe didn't end it there, though, and wanted to explore the ideas that shape Matt's worldview, and asked an interesting follow-up question.
What about people that get married that don't have kids? Are you opposed to that? What if they get married, they decide, you know what, we don't need kids, I'm going to get fixed. You get your tubes tied, let's travel the world.
Well, what do you mean am I opposed to it? I mean, I think that every married couple should be open to life.
But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together, what about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional aspects of it. Of course, there's more to marriage just than that.
In today's world where everything feels so divided, it's nice to see two guys hash it out without turning it into a circus. Their conversation showed that you can dive into tough topics while having different opinions and without losing respect for one another. It's a refreshing reminder that meaningful dialogue is not just possible, but necessary. And that's one of the main reasons people love the Joe Rogan podcast. They tune in not just for the clash of ideas, but for the genuine conversations that happen. The final clip I'm about to show you is when Eliza Schlesinger shot some rude comments towards Joe when the topic turned political. Watch how the whole thing unfolded next.
We look for someone who makes us feel good. Like, I'll feel good voting for him. I don't like her. She's a... And they just decide this is how I'm voting. You know, like that's... I mean, that was a lot of people's perspectives on Hillary Clinton. I talked to a lot of people that hated...
I'm pretty sure everyone loved her. I'm pretty sure she
the
won.
most loved.
I liked Elizabeth Warren. She's
Why?
cool. I just
What?
I liked her. I like
She's a
her
con
tenacity. Yeah, but okay, who isn't?
Yeah, Bernie Sanders.
Okay,
I don't
but
think
did you
he's a
vote for
con
Bernie?
artist. He wasn't available to vote for.
Did
I
you
would've.
vote in the?
I didn't vote for in the primary.
In the primaries, right?
Yeah.
I
But
did.
I had him on my podcast, and he was very sincere.
Okay, cool. I've
I
had my
think-
mom on my podcast. You want to flex? I'm just saying.
Eliza appeared on the podcast a few times already, and this one was back in 2022. There are a couple of things to talk about here. First, saying that everyone loved Hillary couldn't be further from the truth. Second, I'm not the comedy police, but her joke about Bernie appearing on the podcast is nothing but rude, and you could see the shift in Joe's vibe right away. It's clear that he takes his guests seriously, whether they're comedians, politicians, or scientists, and making fun of his choice felt like an unnecessary jab. Apart from that, I'd like to know your thoughts on this, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. Oh, and by the way, if you have friends who are Joe Rogan fans, please share this video with them.